You did everything right. Ticket, booked, arrived early, bags packed. But at the gate, they say, "You're not flying today." It happens more often than you think, and not always for the reasons you expect. In the next few minutes, we'll break down the 11 real reasons travelers get denied boarding in 2025, even when they've done nothing wrong. Watch till the end, and you'll know how to spot every red flag before it ruins your trip. Because one tiny mistake could turn your dream vacation into a nightmare that never leaves the ground. Let's kick things off with the #1 category of why people get turned away at the gate: documents and ID issues. There are 4 main reasons under this section. And if you travel often, odds are you've either seen this happen or had a close call yourself. Let's start with one of the most common, and honestly, one of the most frustrating. Imagine this. You're at the gate, passport in hand, seat confirmed, bags checked. Everything seems perfect. But when the agent scans your boarding pass, they pause, glance at the screen, and then say the dreaded words, "Sorry, you're not getting on this flight." It doesn't seem real until they explain. The name on your ticket doesn't match the name on your ID. The issue often lies in small details. For example, it could be something as simple as a missing middle name. Rebecca Schultze almost missed her flight because she booked as Rebecca Schultze, but her passport said Rebecca Ann Schultze. That missing Ann was enough to cause a major problem. TSA enforces strict rules here. The name on your ticket must match your government-issued ID exactly. If your ID includes a middle name, it must appear on your ticket as well. If there's no middle name on the ID, only the first and last name will suffice. This is where many travelers make mistakes, using nicknames like Jess instead of Jessica, or booking with a maiden name. Even one typo can flag your ticket. If you spot the error well in advance, you're in luck. Reach out to the airline, provide a copy of your ID, and be prepared to pay a small name change fee, typically around $100. It's inconvenient, but much less costly than missing your flight. If you notice the mistake at the airport, things get trickier. Head straight to the airline counter. Explain the issue calmly, and bring every form of ID you have. Stay calm. Most agents will be willing to assist as long as you don't make the situation worse. If the airline refuses to help, there's still a slight chance at TSA. With the right documentation and a clear explanation, they may let you pass. But don't count on it. Everything seems fine. Your name matches, no typos. But even with that, a problem with your passport could still derail your trip. You're at the check-in counter, ready for takeoff, when the agent flips through your passport and says, "Sorry, you can't fly today." You might think it's fine, but then you spot the issue. The passport could be torn, damaged by water, or simply lacking enough blank pages. Any of these could be enough to stop you from flying. Airlines are getting stricter. The 6-month validity rule is no joke. Many countries require your passport to be valid for 6 months beyond your arrival date. Even if you're just flying for a short trip, your passport still needs to meet this standard. And blank pages aren't just a formality. If your passport is too full or looks worn or faded, it could be flagged. A damaged passport might not even get past the check-in desk. To avoid this, check your passport now. Flip through the pages, check the expiration, and make sure there are enough blank ones. If anything looks off, renew it before it's too late, because once you're at the airport, it's not something you can fix last minute. All right, your name's solid, passport's good, bags packed, you're ready to fly. But just when you think you've got everything locked in, there's one detail most people forget, and it can quietly blow up your entire trip: a missing visa. And no, we're not talking about a visa for your final destination. We're talking about a visa for a country you're not even planning to visit. Just a layover. That quick 2-hour connection in between flights? Yeah, it can stop you cold. Here's what happened to one traveler flying from London to Riyadh. His connection was in Istanbul. He wasn't leaving the airport, just switching planes. But because he booked with 2 different airlines, he had to recheck his bag, which meant passing through immigration. That meant he needed a transit visa. He didn't have one. And just like that, he was denied boarding before the trip even started. The worst part? He'd done the exact same route before, with one airline and never had an issue. But change the carrier, and suddenly, the rules are different. That's the trap. Just because you're not stepping outside the airport doesn't mean the country's not checking you. Some places require a visa, no matter how short your layover is, even if you're just walking 20 feet from one gate to another. So how do you avoid this mess? Simple. Check the visa rules for every single country on your itinerary. Even for a layover, look it up on the airline's website, check the embassy's page, or go straight to official government travel advisories. And don't assume what worked last year still applies. These rules change fast, and the airline won't always catch it for you. Because here's the truth. 5 minutes of Googling before your trip could save you $2,000, a missed flight, and a whole lot of regret at the check-in counter. You're flying domestic. Nothing international, no passport lines, just a quick hop from one city to another. You roll up to security, hand over your driver's license like you've done 100 times, and then the agent says, "This isn't valid for air travel." Wait, what? As of May 7th, 2025, the TSA is done playing soft. If you're 18 or older and flying within the US, your ID needs to be Real ID compliant. That means a little gold star in the corner, or in some states, a flag or the word enhanced. No star? No flight. What trips people up is how easy this is to overlook. You might already have a Real ID and not even know it, or you've been using the same license for years and assume it's still fine. But now, it might not be. Sure, a passport still works, but let's be honest, nobody wants to carry their passport for a 45-minute flight to see grandma. And forget the grace period talk. TSA agents have the final say. If your ID doesn't meet the standard, they can shut you down on the spot. No flight, no exceptions. We've covered the paperwork, your name, your passport, your visa, and your ID. But once you're past all that and actually inside the airport, a whole new layer of rules kicks in. And this next set, it's not about who you are. It's about what you're carrying, how you act, and how close you cut it on timing. Let's start with one of the most common and surprisingly emotional reasons people get stopped right at the gate. You're almost there. Gate's in sight, boarding group's been called, and you're walking up thinking this is the easy part. But then the agent spots your bag, gives it one look, and says, "That's not coming on with you." It throws you off. The trip hasn't even started, and suddenly you're having a showdown over a suitcase. Here's the thing. Airlines in 2025 have cracked down hard on carry-on rules. If your bag's even slightly over the size limit, they can force you to gate check it. Most airlines stick to 22 by 14 by 9 inches, wheels and handles included. And those metal bag sizers at the gate? They're not just decorations anymore. Now, sometimes the bag actually fits, but there's no overhead space left. Or the agent just needs to clear up room, and yours is the unlucky one. Whatever the case, if you refuse to check it, they can, and sometimes will, deny you boarding on the spot. One of the most talked about examples? A world-renowned violinist was stopped because her 200-year-old instrument couldn't fit in the overhead bin. She refused to check it for obvious reasons. Still, the airline didn't budge. The flight left. She didn't. So what should you do? Measure your bag before you even leave home. And if it's even close to the limit, expect to gate check it, and don't turn it into a battle. No one's winning an argument 5 minutes before takeoff. You did everything right. Got up early, packed the night before, showed up at the airport with time to spare. So when you finally get to the counter, you're expecting smooth sailing until the agent looks up and says, "Check-in's closed." That's it. You're done. The flight hasn't left, the gate's still open, but your trip is already over. Airlines have strict check-in deadlines, usually between 30 and 60 minutes before departure, depending on the route. And once that window closes, it's locked. The system won't let anyone override it, not even if you're standing right there begging. And here's what's new. In 2025, some airlines have started tightening those deadlines without much notice. Delta, for example, now requires domestic passengers with checked bags to check in at least 45 minutes before takeoff. Used to be 30, not anymore. At some busy airports, it can be up to 90 minutes. There's no warning bell, no flashing sign, just a quiet update, and a lot of travelers caught off guard. The worst part? Even if your flight is an hour away, it doesn't mean you're safe. A slow line at security, a flagged bag, or a hiccup at the kiosk, and suddenly you're out of time. So here's your move. Check in online the moment it opens, usually 24 hours before your flight. That way, you skip the counter chaos and go straight to bag drop or security. And when it comes to arrival time, aim for 2 hours, even for domestic. Because missing your flight over a technical cutoff you didn't even know existed? That's not bad luck. That's preventable. You're at the gate, watching the clock tick down. Boarding's supposed to be any minute now. You're on track. Everything seems fine, until you get to the gate and see that the screen's dark. The staff is nowhere in sight. The door is shut tight. And your plane? Still sitting right there, just on the other side of the glass. It stings, but it happens. Most airlines close the gate 15 minutes before departure. Once it's locked, that's it. No exceptions. It doesn't matter how close you were or how fast you ran. If that door is shut, you're not getting on. This actually happens a lot more than you'd think. Sometimes airlines even close the gate earlier if everyone's already on board. And here's something travelers overlook all the time. Sitting at the wrong gate. Maybe you didn't double-check the number printed on your boarding pass. Or maybe the gate changed last minute and you missed the announcement. With all the noise in the terminal and people talking, it's easy to miss. I've seen it happen. One passenger arrived 20 minutes before departure at the right gate, only to be told their seat had been given away. Why? The airline had moved the departure time up without making a clear announcement, and they closed the gate early. So, how do you avoid this nightmare? Simple. Go straight to the gate listed on your boarding pass and stay there. Watch the screen, keep an ear out for any updates, and don't wander off. Because missing your flight when you're already at the airport? That's one of the most frustrating and common ways to ruin your travel day. You've done everything right. Checked in online, arrived early, cleared security, and you're at the gate, ready to board. The boarding group's called, you step up, but then the agent says, "Sorry, we're full. You're not flying today." What? It still happens. Even in 2025, airlines can sell more tickets than there are seats, betting a few passengers won't show. But when everyone does, someone's not getting on that plane. And that someone could be you. First, they'll try to make it nice, asking for volunteers. They might offer a gift card, a travel voucher, maybe a few $100. But if no one volunteers, they'll start bumping people. Usually based on who checked in last, who paid the cheapest fare, or who doesn't have elite status. It stings when you've got a confirmed ticket and you're still told to step aside. How do you avoid this? Simple. Check in early, as soon as the window opens, usually 24 hours before your flight. It could make all the difference. And know your rights. If you're bumped involuntarily, especially with a big delay, you might be entitled to compensation, up to $1,350 in the US, depending on how late you arrive. But here's the kicker. Not all agents will offer compensation up front. Sometimes you have to ask for it. Know the rules and stand your ground, calmly but firmly. Because nothing's worse than being told there's no room for you on a plane you've already paid for, unless you let that happen without claiming what you're owed. We've covered the rules, documents, deadlines, gate times, carry-on drama. But there's one last thing that could still ground you. You. Once you're at the gate, how you act matters just as much as what you're carrying. Attitude, tone, body language, they're all under the microscope. And in 2025, gate agents have no patience for bad vibes. If they think you're trouble, you're not getting on that flight. It starts with the mood. Maybe you're annoyed by a baggage fee, or you're frustrated with a delay. You raise your voice, roll your eyes, throw in some sarcasm, and just like that, the agent decides you're not flying today. It doesn't matter if you're right. If your tone's wrong, that seat's gone. Airline staff aren't here for drama, especially when they think you might be a problem in the air. Now, let's say you keep your cool, but you've had a drink or two. Enough to feel relaxed, but not enough to hide it. You're slurring a little, maybe smelling like last call at the bar. The agent takes one look, and it's an instant nope. Drunk or high, instant no fly. No refund, no sympathy, and definitely no second chances. But even if you're stone cold sober and polite, there's one more thing that could trip you up: how you smell. Too much sweat, too much cologne. That hoodie you've worn for 3 days straight. If your scent offends or your appearance turns heads in the wrong way, they can pull you aside and say, "Not today." Finally, let's talk health. If you show up looking seriously unwell, pale, sweating, coughing, airline staff might assume you're not fit to fly. Even if you think you're fine, they won't risk it with a plane full of people. And here's one last thing: don't even think about cutting the line. New tech at American Airlines can flag passengers who try to board out of turn. If you jump ahead of your group, you might just jump your way off the flight. Bottom line, your behavior is the last test. Fail it, and no amount of ID, passport, or perfectly packed bag will save you. If your attitude, appearance, or timing sets off alarm bells, you're staying behind. You've done your part. Documents are in order, bags are the right size, behavior on point. But sometimes, what stops you from flying has nothing to do with you, and everything to do with the airline, the booking system, or a rule no one bothered to explain. Let's talk about the glitches behind the scenes that can wreck your trip, often without warning. You've packed smart, arrived early, checked in, played nice, stayed sober. So what could go wrong now? The airline system, that's what. Sometimes what grounds your trip has nothing to do with you. It's a quiet failure somewhere behind the scenes. Maybe you booked through a third-party site, everything went through fine, your confirmation looks perfect. But when you get to the counter, the agent looks confused and says, "You're not in our system." Why? Because the ticket didn't sync. Maybe a glitch happened during payment, or someone mistyped your name. Either way, your seat's gone, and you're stuck. It doesn't stop there. Your name could even end up on a no-fly list by mistake. One traveler missed her sister's wedding after being flagged for sharing a name with someone on the list. Or worse, maybe you're denied because of misinformation. Like one traveler who was told he didn't need a transit visa for Copenhagen, but when he got to the airport, denied boarding. The gate agent wasn't on the same page, and no one could explain why. And it's not just about visas or tech issues. Sometimes, the airline itself gets immigration rules wrong. Like one guy heading to Nicaragua, he was told he needed a visa when he didn't. He tried to reason with the agent. No luck. He was denied boarding and ended up having to buy a new ticket with another airline. So what's the move? Don't trust just one source. Call the airline, yes, but always double check with the embassy. If your name's caused issues before or you've had visa problems, call ahead and confirm. And when booking, always confirm directly with the airline, even if you used a travel site. Take screenshots. Print your itinerary. Save the receipts, because the most frustrating way to miss your flight is standing at the airport with everything done right, only to be told you can't go. You've made it to the gate. The flight's delayed, but you've been patient. Boarding's finally underway. You scan your pass, step up to the agent, and then they stop you. Sorry, you're not boarding this flight. You checked in on time, waited in the holding area, and watched the plane land. But right at the gate, you're told there's no seat for you. This happened to a passenger on an EasyJet flight from Porto to Bristol. The flight was delayed, and then passengers were moved to a secondary waiting area. After hours of silence, staff announced that due to crew issues, only a limited number of people could board. Dozens were left behind, with no explanation of why they were chosen. Some passengers were offered hotel vouchers and a replacement flight, 2 days later, to a different city. That's a major inconvenience, especially if it means losing work, rearranging plans, or spending extra money just to get home. This situation is called involuntary denied boarding. And while it's legal, you are entitled to compensation, especially in the EU. Airlines don't always mention this. They'll just rebook you and move on. But the law says you deserve more than just a hotel voucher. You're entitled to compensation if the situation is no fault of your own. So, the next time an airline tries to pull the rug out from under you, don't just accept it. Ask questions. Get it in writing. Make sure they make it right, because being told you can't fly after doing everything right, that shouldn't be the end of the story. So there you have it, 11 reasons your seat might disappear before you even step on the plane. Some things you can control, some you can't. But now, you know exactly what to watch for. If this helped you avoid a future travel nightmare, hit that like button, share it with your fellow travelers, and make sure to subscribe for more smart travel tips. Because when it comes to flying, knowledge isn't just power, it's your boarding pass.